The 1980s were a really great time for Star Trek. The movie series was going strong, being essentially relaunched in 1982 with The Wrath of Khan, and then Star Trek 3 and 4 both being fantastic movies, and then Next Generation launching in 87, and then kind of going out with a whimper with Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier, at the end of the decade. But hey, the decade started strong with no one's going to argue that it's one of the best Star Trek movies ever made. I personally don't feel that it's the best of them. It's certainly not my favorite. That honor goes to Star Trek 6, but it is definitely my second favorite of all the classic era movies. In fact, I'd go so far as to say it's my second favorite Star Trek movie, period, that being Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. We've already taken a look at the Space Seed Edition Enterprise, which comes with the Botany Bay, Khan's original ship. Well, let's take a look at his new ship that he commandeers in Wrath of Khan, the 1/1000th scale Reliant. And, hey, just in time, these came in the mail yesterday. Very excited. This is the complete Aztec decal and supplemental marking set for the Reliant. So we'll take a look at that as well. First up, we're going to take a look at the Reliant herself. This is a brand new kit. Now, the box is the standard style that just about all the Round 2 Polar Lights reissue and original kits have had. Photoshopped image of the model over a Starfield. Box sides all having appears to be the same artwork. Box bottom, finished model, 9.5 inches long, display stand included. Ask your retailer for Aztec decals, available now from Polar Lights, and some supplemental biographical information about the class of ship and how it first appeared in the Wrath of Khan. This was the very first new class of starship ever seen, Federation starship ever seen in Star Trek. Every other Starfleet ship was ever seen was a Constitution class prior to this. First runner up, we've got the roll bar with the housing for the photon torpedo launcher, or at least this would be the bottom of it. These, I think, are the top roll bar sections. Got the rear bulkhead with the impulse deck, 2 shuttle bays, warp nacelle struts, phaser cannons. The Reliant, or the Miranda class, had very interesting phaser cannons in addition to the dual phaser emplacements on the saucer section. And then I think these are the intercoolers, or whatever they're called. I refer to them as the eagle eyes on the nacelles of the Enterprise, because I've always felt that those nacelles looked a lot like eagle heads. And the front intake grills, I'm guessing the Bassard collectors for the warp nacelles. Speaking of warp nacelles, same basic shape as on the Enterprise, except that these are designed to mount from the top as opposed to the bottom. Same exact style. You can see the design lineage of the Miranda class and the refit Constitution clearly being designed around the same time within universe. Here's the rest of the photon torpedo launcher, or at least the rest of the housing does not actually have the front or the fore or aft torpedo banks. Those would probably be molded in clear if I had to guess. You've got your bridge dome, you've got your planetary sensor dome. I think these are the inside mounts where the roll bar attaches to the fuselage. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. An interesting little detail part. Looks like it has a hinge molded onto it. That's kind of curious. Next up, we got our clear parts. Warp nacelle interior grills. Photon torpedo launchers, as I said, appear to be molded in clear. I believe this would be the fore and this would be the aft. Impulse crystal, maybe? I'm not sure why there's 2. That's kind of a curiosity. I'm not sure. Maybe one is for the dorsal side, one is for the ventral side. I'm not really sure. And guessing these are for the impulse engines. But nice molded etching on the clear parts, and the detail on the photon torpedo launchers is really nice. Same basic display stand as what has come with just about every kit. Has the little ball jointed component on there for posing. Not sure where the rod is though. It's not in this baggie, so that's a little bit odd. I've never seen that quite like that before. Well, I found the rod. It came in the baggie with the main hull parts. Speaking of main hull parts, looks damn good. Upper and lower hull, and as I said, the one large crystal seems to fit there, and the smaller one seems to fit right there, and then there's a socket for the display stand. Unlike on the refit Enterprise, this one does not appear to have a plug to fill that socket, but whatever. Molding detail looks to be on par with that Enterprise. The phaser banks you can see molded into the surface. The grid lines very nicely etched. You've got the blocks for the thrusters. Overall, similar hatches all over the ventral side. Again, the same phaser banks, and then lots of molded detail on the underside as well as on the exposed machinery on the rear of the main hull. Overall, very, very nicely molded. Looks like they've learned a lot from recent Star Trek kits. And just do a quick test fit. Looks like the seam is going to be very easy to take care of. That's actually a very, very fine, very clean looking seam. I can barely see it even with my own eyes in good lighting. And looks like additional panels get fit onto here, so that'll probably cover up this whole section, and then the back here is an additional part. But yeah, the fit is top notch. Wow, I gotta commend them. That looks really great. Flyer, Mail away, nonsense. We've got our kit supply decals. So it's just the Reliant with this version. So you've got the 1864 USS Reliant, Starfleet pennants, NCC 1864 for the ventral side. Guessing, not sure where this one would go, because there's only one. So it would be asymmetrical to have only that single one there. But yeah, lots of windows. They're all molded, or they're all painted in black. So yeah, that's always kind of bugged me about the recent round 2 kits. Pretty much for the last several years, is that all the windows are black. There's never any option for white lit windows. So if you wanted to have white lit windows, you would kind of have to paint them in yourself or drill them out in some way. But lots of thruster blocks, lots of very fine pinstriping, though I don't know if you can tell from the change in the glare, but both these two stripes are a single decal, so that tends to make it a lot easier to place, though this entire rectangular one appears to be a single one without this stuff in the middle, so that is going to be a real pain to place straight, because yeah, really fine pinstriping is always an enormous pain in the butt. And finally, the assembly instructions. Starts with the main saucer, upper and lower hull, additional detail parts for the aft, for the impulse area, warp nacelles and pylons, assembly of the upper roll bar, and oh, that part that I couldn't identify that looked like it had a hinge, I guess mounts onto the bottom of the photon torpedo launcher. Final assembly, attachment of the upper roll bar. This one doesn't appear to have any option to remove the roll bar and its struts, because there have been quite a few versions of the Miranda class that did not include the roll bar at all, mostly seen in the Next Generation and in Deep Space Nine. In fact, I believe the ship that appeared in the pilot of Deep Space Nine, the Saratoga, which was Ben Sisko's ship, did not have the roll bar, and additionally had two they refer to them as sensors, but they look kind of like the blasters from an X-wing. They have that kind of semi-hemispherical flash suppressor thing behind them. They look like Star Wars blasters. And then assembly of the base. And your marking guide, which can mostly ignore because I'll be using the larger, more complicated sheet, which pretty much replaces, I think, about 75% of the markings on this set. Oh, and the painting guide. And there's that stray registry that I couldn't identify. It goes on the roll bar. So yeah, you got your painting guide. Not a lot of different colors required, but yeah, should be fairly simple. Eager to get this thing built. And next up, we'll take a quick look at the optional decal set. Backside, you can see basically how the model will look completed with all the Aztecing applied. Actually, it looks really fantastic. There's probably still some light touch-up painting that needs doing, like the leading edges of the roll bar, basically all the blue, probably most of the bridge dome, some detail parts here and there. The gray inset areas will all need to be painted. But looks like the decals probably provide 80% of what's left. In addition, there's registry names and numbers for seven different ships, including 2 different versions of the Saratoga, this being Ben Sisko's ship, which had those funky sensors on the side of it. We'll actually be taking a look at the cadet version of that ship in a future video. You'll be able to get a better idea of the differences between the standard Miranda and that version. But you've got the Lantry, 2 versions of the Saratoga, the Britannia, the Tiananmen, the Majestic, and the Nautilus. So let's take a look at the decals themselves. First sheet appears to have mostly just the warp nacelles and the pylons for Aztecing, as well as the shuttle bay doors and all the different registries. So you've got your Majestic, the Nautilus, Britannia, Lantry, Saratoga, and Tiananmen, all the different numbers, and many, 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 many more for the warp nacelles. Some additional Starfleet pennants, more pinstriping. Yeah, printing all looks really good. And the second set. I was surprised to find this actually only has 2 sheets. I thought it was going to be at least 3, because the 1000 scale Enterprise, I believe, has 4 sheets. Though these are much larger, so I guess they can fit quite a lot more in. But here's the all the stuff for the saucer, the aft deck, which actually is going to rectify my biggest complaint with these kit supplied decals, is that those pinstripes that were going to be a real pain are actually attached to additional decals, so that'll carry them on a lot better. They'll be a lot less fiddly. There's some striping around the bridge. I'm guessing that's a docking collar. And the sensor strips and windows on the perimeter of the saucer. And some additional Starfleet pennants here and there. The printing on the Aztecing, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's really interesting. There's lots of different coloration. There's kind of whatever your base color is going to be, it looks like is just the sort of bluey, transparent color, which appears to be just the same color as the carrier film, as the backing sheet rather. And then there's a kind of a darker blue and then a gray, and possibly some additional variations mixed in here and there. But I've seen some build-ups of these kits with these decals, and they look fantastic. So it doesn't take a lot of work to really get them to look right, as long as you can get the decals placed correctly. And finally, our instruction guide. So yeah, starts with a couple for the bridge. It says very clearly, do not attach the bridge until you've applied this one, and then this one goes around the B and C deck area, and then you've got your warp nacelles and your rear deck, and then your saucer, side of the ship, more side nacelle parts, the striping for the perimeter of the saucer section, your roll bar, shuttle bays. There's no Aztecing, it appears, for the aft of the ship, so I'm guessing that just remains white. The sensor on the bottom of the ship, lots to go on around there, and a mirror image of the other side over here, and then the ventral details. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of markings to go on this ship. So this is going to be something. So actually, it looks like there's a lot more than there were on the refit Enterprise, even though that's a bigger ship. So yeah, I'm excited. So this kit looks every bit as good as the refit Enterprise did. In fact, the fit even looks better than on that kit. As I recall from building the Enterprise a few years ago, the fit was good, but it wasn't perfect. It was a little gappy in places, and that could be an artifact of the design of the ship. You know, having to take into account that the ship is kind of a weird shape. But this one, fit is just outstanding. Detail is top-notch. I can't wait to try to knock this thing together. Honestly, I mean, I joke about it with a lot of Tamiya kits and whatnot, but this looks like one of those kits you could cut all the pieces off, throw them in a box, shake it up, and you've got yourself a finished model. It looks absolutely fantastic. And that Aztec decal set, I think, is really going to finish it off nicely. So, yeah, it's I kind of feel bad about wanting to do these as battle damaged, so maybe I'm gonna not do that, or maybe I'll battle damage the Enterprise and leave this one intact and kind of pose them like the first encounter before Kirk gets the drop on Khan with the prefix code and shuts down the shields. I don't know. I'll have to think about it, but you know, as I've said in previous videos, these are all going to be a ways down the line because I don't have a space to work yet. I'm really bummed about that. I really wanted to have my studio ready to go before the fall, but it's getting cold enough that I couldn't really do much work out there anyway without putting a heater in there. So that's going to be next spring's project, and then I'm just going to do a whole schwack of Star Trek kits probably over the course of next year as I find the time, which hopefully I will have the time, but we'll see. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the I'm hesitant to even call it a reissue because it's pretty much a re-engineered, ground-up rebuild of a vintage kit. We're going to look at the Great Experiment, the USS Excelsior, in our next video. So do stay tuned for that. Thank you everyone out there for watching, and happy modeling.